Ay, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah. State your name, been dope on flame. I just switched the lanes. Damn, he did it again. I just flipped the pain. Stripping and dipping in bass, slab on everything. Swimming, you sinking away, cause I got big racks coming. I put my low racks on it. I ain't skip past losses, I had to get back off it. See the Fit Lab on it until they whip my coffin. Money clip, I tossed it, I heard it's big bags on big bags on big bags coming, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Pump up the action, I'm active. If he never heard of been dope, he just napping. Jackson's off the rapping. Keep it on my body, bitch, I'm broke if you ask it. Don't gotta sell the most, y'all is flawless. Broken whips as long as it is foreign. Heard you want it cause the yam's enormous. What's in since she isn't gorgeous? Live my life, last name of Morgan Freeman. Trying to touch a forest, do not know when knocking on the door is. Came in, I came in, I came in. Did it like the Porsches coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10, yeah. Ay, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again, yeah. State your name, been dope on flame. I just switched the lanes. Damn, he did it again. I just flipped the pain. Stripping and dipping in bass, slab on everything. Swimming, you sinking away, cause I got big racks coming. I put my low racks on it. I ain't skip past losses, I had to get back off it. See the Fit Lab on it until they whip my coffin. Money clip, I tossed it, I heard it's big bags on big bags on big bags coming, coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Pump up the action, I'm active. If he never heard of been dope, he just napping. Jackson's off the rapping. Keep it on my body, bitch, I'm broke if you ask it. Don't gotta sell the most, y'all is flawless. Broken whips as long as it is foreign. Heard you want it cause the yam's enormous. What's in since she isn't gorgeous? Live my life, last name of Morgan Freeman. Trying to touch a forest, do not know when knocking on the door is. Came in, I came in, I came in. Did it like the Porsches coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright. Coming in, yeah. Flex, I just wanna win, yeah. LABB, who we running with, yeah. 2233, I'm on 10, yeah.
What up, what up, what up?
What's good, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Oh, man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, man. I'm ready to turn up today, man. You know, it's been an exciting day. This whole day been exciting, man. Hey, man, what y'all think about that Clubhouse event we had this morning, though, man? Huh?
O'Neal.
Oh, I think it was inspirational. I'm good. I think it was inspirational, man. It was needed for the culture, bro.
Straight up.
What you thought about it?
Yeah, no, I think overall, man, it was definitely great to see that stage with so much Black excellence heading off Black History Month, and you know, a lot of valuable people. And I think that, you know, that's something that if you was to put that boy in a conference, that's a high ticket, and to have everybody in the morning,
yeah,
bro,
it was crazy.
That was powerful.
We got you out of bed, man.
I know. I was surprised, man. Byron,
Hey, y'all want to hear why though?
What's that?
How I got up?
Break it down.
So, man, I didn't go to bed to 12:45, right? And Sharnice told me, she said, "You ain't gonna get up." I said, "I bet you $50 I'll get up." She said, "I bet you." So hey, she gonna have to run that 50.
Run that 50, man.
Hey,
that is hilarious. That is hilarious.
So
man.
what you thought about it, Byron?
Which Byron?
You.
You know what? I thought it was amazing, man. You know, anytime you can talk about this is what I was surprised by, honestly. We talked about some heavy stuff, and it was peaceful, right? For the most part, it got a little testy towards the end, a little bit. You know what I mean? A couple things jumped, but for the most part, it was a healthy discussion, man. We was able to provide a lot of valuables, real actionable steps, real tools, and we was able to add value to the people. So anytime we could do that, man, I'm thoroughly excited. And I just can't wait for the next one. You know what I mean? But
for the people that's on here, we are having a recap tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Absolutely.
Recap of everything we talked about today, and also a Q&A. So,
absolutely.
Because we really didn't get a chance to get to the crowd. So
absolutely,
y'all deserve that from us.
Absolutely. Well, what are we talking about this morning, Byron? Let's break it down.
Man,
I mean, not this morning, but tonight. I'm tripping. Yeah.
Tonight. So look, before we get into that, man, listen, I see we have people on here. Do me a favor. I want you guys to share this live podcast. Listen, we going live. You here with us live. Share this with 5 people and also smash that like button. But today, y'all see the title. We talking streets to real estate. Okay, you got 3 brothers here that when you think about, we belong to a culture that at times can be seen in a negative connotation, right? The things we see on the news channels, the things we see even displayed on our movies, we're basically shown that we come from the streets. So we wanted to talk about, address these things and how we could talk about the streets to real estate, which is one way to really, really build wealth. And we want to talk about making it out these streets to be in a great light and to have influence.
Absolutely.
Man, so I think to get started, like, how y'all think we got here to be labeled as, if people see black people, they affiliate with the streets? Like, how we even got to that point? What y'all think?
Oh, man, it's deep, bro. I think America is comfortable, for one. Okay, it's 2 components. I think America and even a certain segment of black folk have grown comfortable with the idea of us being the boogeyman, right? With us being the bad person, with us being the person who accepts, less than standard, right? And I think, as a result of that, I think we've grown accustomed to it. America has grown accustomed to it. It's almost kind of like we play our role in society as that person or as that guy. You got like the black sheep in the family, right? The black sheep in the family. And after a while of being a black sheep in the family, you kind of accept the role and you embrace it, right? And I think in America, culturally, I think black folks have embraced being the black sheep of America. And that's problematic on a lot of fronts because it's problematic in the sense that we've adopted it and we've accepted it and we almost play into it. And it's problematic in the sense of it's not a good place to be, right? We could be in a much better place if we changed our mindset and if we changed the way we moved and navigated throughout society. So it's a 2-problem issue. You know what I mean? Anybody want to share, any perspective on that? Yeah. Even if I'm wrong on that.
No, I think that's the good thing about it. I feel like there's no right or wrong context around it. Mm-hmm. And I think that the behavior from the streets to real estate, from it's a adapted culture, right? So if you look at before that, black people we were servitude, right? We really didn't have this street mentality. The Italians and the Irish kind of adapted this mentality of this gangster mentality, right? And unfortunately, when they moved into bigger and better legal things, you know, a lot of our people started getting into these ghettos, right, to the slums. We start taking their land, and we start adapting their you know, their way of handling things, or, you know, should you say, street mentality. And then we begin to get marketed to, when we start seeing and glorifying these gangsters, the Al Capones, the mob, and things like this. And we really embrace this. And so when you look at the 70s, right, this pimp culture still kind of starting to develop this tough, you know, exterior. And then you go into the 80s, and now we have these you know, these movies which we emulate the mob, these, you know, the Godfather and things. We really start to praise them. Then, you know, Scarface comes out. Then boom, we got hip hop music, but hip hop music turned into the gangster music because we wanted to talk about what was going on in our ghettos. And so when that really got to stream to mass America and suburban America, this culture really became embraced. And so what we've seen in the movies, from killing and shooting, really start to adapt and really be spread. And I think as much as the media start to portray that, then people really start to adapt this culture. And before you know it, right, we're 80s babies. And I know, and O'Neal growing up in the 90s, this is what we start to really see. And you know, I think that it took a spin for the worse. And look at our incarceration rates. You know, look at you know, where we are. And it's just, the music industry continues to glorify this culture, and it seems like it's no turning back, but it really is a way to, you know, to kind of change that and start reaching our youth.
Wow. So O'Neal, tell me this: why do you think, you know, that culture is glorified, for one, right? Because I just kind of want to spin off on this, and what does that do for financial literacy, right? Because it's almost like hip hop music, in a sense, is like counter financial literacy, in a sense, right? So and some of it. So some of it is like get to the bag, right? Some of it is get to the bag, but then when you get to the bag, throw the bag in the trash. You get what I'm saying? With like Gucci, Louis, you know what I mean, and all this old kind of stuff. So speak on that. Like, what's your perspective on that? Like, break it down, because you said some of it. So what that mean?
Man, so it's basically like, that's all we know. So how you perform in your life is what what was instilled in you. So if that's all we hear is rap music, that's all we watch is gangster movies, we're gonna do the same thing because that's all we see, that's all we watch, and that's all our parents put on. So I don't know about y'all, but I grew up listening to rap music. I grew up watching shit I wasn't supposed to watch. So we act and we're inspired by the people that we see because they on TV making money. So we want to do the same shit. So if they robbing people, why the fuck I'm not gonna rob nobody? It's cool. Mm-hmm. So that's what we see. So that's what we do. So, you know, if you transition your mind and transition your things you look at, that's when you start to act different. You start to do different. So, you know, us as investors, we don't, you know, we watch it as entertainment, but we know realistically, if we do that, we're going to end up in jail. If we do that, we're going to end up broke. So we, as investors, we start feeding our brain. We start looking at YouTube. We start watching, you know, different videos, start going to courses. We start going to events because we know that's going to benefit our life. And we don't want to go backwards because we know we'll end up either jail or dead. So, you know, we got to change the way we raise our kids, and then I think everything else will start changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, you know what?
Oh, go ahead, B.
No, I was gonna say. So, where everybody from? Go ahead and type in where you're from, what cities you from, where you represent, and let us know some of your experiences and, you know, coming up from the hood. If you came from the hood, everybody don't come from the hood. You know what I mean? I come from the hood, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that today because I think this is an important topic. You know, to talk about that transition period, right? Because I think we all kind of had that transition period where we, you know, decided, man, look, it's time to make some different decisions. This right here.
I think we should talk about that. I think everybody should just talk about how they grew up in the transition out of it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So what was? But before we get into that, Byron, what was you gonna say?
So yeah, because I think this is a good, you know, be hearing your story. I can't wait to, you know, you really share with the people, you know, your story and, like you said, and things that how you really made you change your life. But, you know, one example, we talk about those movies, and I remember just a real quick. I rewatched Paid in Full, the movie Paid in Full. I watched it because I was laughing with Charlie. He's like, "You never saw Paid in Full?" And when I was younger, when I used to love this movie, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the things that I was watching it in college, I was selling weed at school and things like that. It's legal now, but that was drugs then when I was in school, right?
Absolutely.
And when I sit back and look at it, how I kind of idolize the people on a movie, but when I look back at it now, Mitch still lived at home. All they had was cars, jewelry, and all they had was cars, jewelry, guns, and and nice clothes. But when you look at it, they really didn't have wealth. And so when I look at that, that was the stuff that I glorified because I'm like, yo, dang, they getting to the money, they got all the women, but no, they really wasn't. They was really, excuse me, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, but they was lames. They was lames, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I never even peeped it like that.
I was disappointed when I looked back at Paid in Full because I'm like, yo, this was the movie that I idolized. Right? When I was in school, I thought I wanted to be Money Making Mitch. Yeah. Money Making Mitch was still sleeping on his mama and with his little brother Sonny in a twin size bed.
Wow.
Damn.
And was fly. It was fly.
It was fly.
But you got to realize they got people that still live like that to this day.
Yes,
especially, exactly. I know a bunch of them. Like, they spend all their money on design and live at home.
That's the problem.
Still in the hood.
That's the problem.
So that's
what we talk about future real estate.
We got ATL, we got Pittsburgh, we got Lafayette in the building. Yeah,
What's
man.
Up, Julie? We got Lafayette in the building. What's up?
Yes, indeed. So, fellas, okay. Man, you just said something that was powerful, bro. I can't even front. That was real powerful in the sense that it's the mentality. It's the mentality. So I know I grew up with that twisted mentality. I ain't gonna front, right? And I also grew up with another deadly mentality. And that other deadly mentality was living paycheck to paycheck and being cool with it because I pay all my bills. I grew up in a family, right, where my mom had great credit. And make sure y'all hitting them like buttons too, because we finna share some real stuff. Hit the like button. You know what I mean? Everybody in here, if y'all can do us a favor. Y'all can do us a favor because we're going to share some stuff today. Hit the like button. So another thing was that my mom, and my family, my mom had great credit, right, growing up. And but she lived paycheck to paycheck. And from her perspective, it was like, yo, as long as I can pay my bills, I'm good, right? So her mentality was like, no matter how much more money she made or however much more money we made into the household, that just opened up the door to create a new bill that she could barely afford. I mean, literally, like if it was $50 at the end of the month, she was good with that, right? And I grew up thinking that was normal to just live paycheck to paycheck. You max yourself out. Like I used to tell myself, like, yo, I can afford a Mercedes, or I can afford this because I have the income, right, to cover that bill. And then, and now I don't look at it that way, right? And through my journey of entrepreneurship, my mentality is completely shifted to more of a, listen, I'm not going to max out my liabilities, right? I'm not going to max out my liabilities with everything that I have coming in. And that was a major shift. And I'm going to talk about that more when I get into my story. But what y'all want to speak on that?
Speak on what part?
On just the a lot of people think that, if say for instance, if I make $2,000 and I got $1,900 in bills, I'm good because I can pay all my bills.
That's living above your means. So
that's living above your means.
I worked in the oil and gas industry, so it's got 95% Caucasian.
Yeah.
Probably more than that, probably 98. But working around that, we make, well, I don't make that shit no more, but they make great money. So, 6 figures plus. Once somebody get a job, they all do the same thing. Get a big truck, get a boat, get a 4-wheeler, side by side, maybe get a house, depending on their age. If they're 18, 19, 20, they stay at home, 21, 22. They buy the biggest house that they can afford. and they balance their bills and they balance their lifestyle based off of overtime.
Wow.
It's not even guaranteed money.
Wow.
They based it off of overtime.
Wow.
Like I know, like when I worked, I think I was like in 2016, because I built my house in 15.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, none of them had their own house. They still was renting and everything. So they was like, man, I'm gonna go buy me a house or whatever. One dude didn't even have enough money for his down payment, so he had to beg to go on a turnaround, which is like a 2-3 week job. You work 12 hours a day for 14 days, 15 days straight. He had to beg to get on that turnaround just to buy his house because he didn't have enough money.
Oh my God!
And that's sad, bro. Like I was like, this dude was like, no.
So speak on that. Speak on that, O'Neal. Why did you have a different mentality? I mean, what was inputted into you to make you say, I'm not finna live my way. I'm not finna live my life like this. What was that? Because it couldn't have been
just
something.
Watching them. It's like people live to impress other people. Like, you don't need all that shit. You don't even use it.
So you mean to tell me, O'Neal, you watched their behavior and was like, I ain't spending up all my money like that? Or did you get really, those skills?
I grew up watching what was going on because I'm a watcher. So my dad, he never bought a brand new vehicle until he was like 53.
Okay.
Never. But where we lived was, we lived in like an 800 square foot house, family of 5 till like 9 or 10. 800 square feet with 5 people. That's tight.
Yeah, bro.
That's tight.
Yeah, bro.
But guess what? It was 800 square feet, but when I was like 9, 10, he built his own house that was 4,400 square feet.
Wow.
With a pool house. The pool house was 2 stories, so the pool house was damn near big enough. Well, same size as the house we lived in. So that's the shit I was watching.
Yo.
So my dad stacked up his money, stayed in the hood till he had way more than enough money to do what he wanted to do. Well, he always was like that. He always had enough money to do what he wanted to do. When he was 16, 17, he was making more money than my grandparents.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So to be honest, you got that honest from I would say from mentorship, right? From parental mentorship.
Yeah, and my grandpa is also an entrepreneur. He was making $10,000 a week in the 90s.
Wow,
that's great.
Wow, so
that's amazing, man.
So that's a blessing because the thing about it is when people look at your age, you know what I'm saying. And this is not to take away from any of your success, O'Neal, because I know that you bust your ass, right? You know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But since we speaking on this Black History Month, we speaking on legacy, right? We speaking on how we made that transition from the streets to real estate, and we're gonna give some actionable steps today. We're gonna be definitely talking about that. But right now, we just sharing some real moments. How important is that legacy component? Because see, that says something. That the reason why I feel like it's so important what you just said, O'Neal, is because that tells me if we had more families teaching this information, right, then maybe we can have more people like O'Neal. We can have more O'Neals in their 20s financially set. How many 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds running around financially set?
Shit, 1% negative. It ain't 1%.
You get what I'm saying? So Byron, you mind speaking on that from that legacy piece, and how was your parental situation growing up, and what are some of the things that you learned from a financial literacy standpoint?
Yeah, so I learned how to go broke.
Wow.
I'm just gonna be flat. I'm gonna be flat out.
Oh my God!
Growing up in the religion I grew up in, like I said, my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. If you look statistically, Jehovah's Witnesses, Latter-day Saints, and I think that's another form of Protestants, but they're the poorest religions in America. And the reason why, because we're kind of taught on a way to really just preach. Like that's what we do. It's preach. So material things aren't really, So my parents, my dad had the thing. He worked. My mother didn't have to have a job, and he made good money until they were introduced to credit. And my mother being from the projects, my dad being from Inglewood, here in Chicago, they both grew up poor. you know, having that access to credit was like most black people in the 90s was, oh man, we got money, right? And we can pay monthly. And so that ended up equivalent to debt. I remember going from one of the flyest kids in third grade to having all the Air Jordans and to going thrift shopping, right?
Wow.
Going, you know, looking at my mom like, what are we doing here? I'm up here sneezing in this thrift store because it's so dusty. Like, yo, what is this? You know, it was real.
It was dusty. Like, yo.
Oh, bro. Hey, anybody in the chat, if you know you go to the thrift store, boy,
that's gonna be dusty.
and so, you know, that was a transition. Luckily for me, we switched when I got to fourth grade. We had to wear uniforms because of gang violence, right? So they switched us to wearing uniforms. So in a way, that kind of saved me because I go from being one of the flyest kids to now. I remember coming to school like. I remember I had a hoodie that said Sleepy Hollow, and they was roasting me like, Sleepy Hollow? What is this? You know, like, what do you get that from? And I thank God for my aunties. My mom comes from a big family, and they start seeing it. So, you know, they'll buy me some things here, and you know, my parents got in that debt, so we got real frugal, right? Because you know, I had to understand that life had changed, and like I talked about it before, I had to start working at a young age, but we were working, like you was talking about, Byron, we was working just to pay bills. We were working just to pay bills. And so when my parents had some extra money, they would spend it. They would spend it. It would make us feel good, right? You know, it would be good to go shopping. And so as we began getting back on our feet, you know, early 2000s and things, we all had that mindset. I got older. I'm a teenager now. And, you know, it was kind of like, yo, like, all right, I got this money, but man, it's gonna have to go to a bill, so I'm gonna spend it, right? Absolutely. And my mother's mantra was, well, listen, we ain't got no money, but at least we gonna look like we got some money.
Oh, and, bruh.
You know, that was really my mantra, right? I used to like the accolades. I used to like when the people, man, B, you fly, yeah, B always fly, but I was broke. I didn't have $1 in my pocket. I had the best gear. B, you remember Academics and the Nietzsche and all them brands?
All that.
And the Pellies. I was broke. I didn't have $1 in my pocket. But it was everybody telling me what. So that even transpired when I went to work. I lived check to check, 10 years of working. I lived check to check. I probably only had 2 years out of my entire career where I actually had extra money in my pocket. Everything was check to check, and I lived as if I can afford it and then I can look good, then this is what I'm going to do. And man, you know, it didn't take me to my 30s that I had to actually break that cycle, and I had to kind of learn on my own and you know, definitely reading things, but you know, I didn't really have an example until I really started getting into this wealth community. And what I love is most people need, like O'Neal sent me shirts before, right? I wear O'Neal shirts. So many people sent me, you know, I was willing to support their own brand because their shirts are only $25, $30, not these $60, $90 shirts. And so, you know, that really helped.
Same quality.
Same quality.
Same quality.
Yep. Yo, so speak on, okay, so this is what I want to really get into. The transition from, you know, the streets to, or not even just the streets, but from changing that mindset, right? So, because I know, Byron, you speak on the fact that from a financial literacy standpoint, did your mindset really change, or did you just make more money? How did that transition take place for you?
Man, so I started reading about keeping money, right? Putting it in assets. And that's what really understood, right? Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, you know, it's still a part of me that I still like nice things, right? And the fact that I make more money, I've purchased things in my life that I've never had, right? My lady, same thing, you know, she like, you know, designer purses and things. So, you know, that could be expensive, but to me, we always, when we want nice things, we go 10X. You know, our level of work increases just to, you know, because we look at it like, what's the point of dipping and dabbing and what we have, and we can just make it. If we want some nice stuff, come on, let's go ahead and just make it real.
Make some more money. Yeah.
But, you know, I think that, you know, even for me, you know, I had to, when I first got a taste of money, you know, we made our first 6 figures in the hood. And we didn't spend a dime of it, but, you know, we started spending money, right? I started buying all the things that I didn't want. And it was just kind of like, you know, I mean, what I never had. And that was, you know, basically like, okay, here's a wake up call. Once I realized that was just a feeling. Because once you buy it, that's the feeling.
Yeah,
you put it on for the first time, after that, it's gone.
That's it. And half the time, you don't even wear it that many more times because you be like, yo, I don't want to be seeing the same thing. That ain't gonna be fly,
Keep that tag on, return that, boy.
Hey, for real, the more it costs, the less you wear it.
Absolutely. Because they're gonna be like, okay, damn, you just wear that every day, huh? You just want that feeling every day, don't you?
Yeah, you should be like, yeah, I wear this Gucci shirt every day. I'm wearing this Gucci shirt. Versus, you know what I'm saying, this Nike shirt.
When they clown you, the more you wear it, the more they clown you.
Absolutely. So, okay, so here's the deal. So basically what you're saying is you learn to save a little bit, but more than anything, did you say that you saved more or did you just invest more in your education and make more money?
Man, so we definitely invested more in our education, but we invested more in the assets. I said, listen, I realized my money is not making money in Chase. It has to make money in an asset. And so that's when we really start dumping in an asset. That's when I realized an asset is not a cost. It's an investment and looking at the long-term plays, right? Because we had more money than we ever had in our life. And that was totally new. And at first we was hoarding it, right? Like, oh man, like I don't want to lose this. But then it was just like, you had to realize like, yo, it's fiat. It has no meaning. Like buy something that is tangible and buy an asset and let your money grow and let it, let's look down 5-10 years down the line. And I bet you, that 50,000, that 75, that $100,000 is going to mean a whole lot more, in the upcoming years.
Absolutely. So tell me this, Byron. That transition, what books and what tools and what are some of the things you was doing when you said, okay, we finna make this transition? What was going on in that period? Like when you was making that transition, what are some of the things you did that were 1,000% pivotal in you switching over and saying, fuck this, I'm doing something completely different. I'm not living my life like this no more. You know what I mean? What was those things? What books you was reading? What mindset was you on? What kind of action steps were you taking?
That's a good question. So I can't really equivalent to a book, but we hired a business consultant, and that really helped me. That was part of the investment to see where my money was going. Right, once we started seeing the ledgers and the profit, the P&Ls, right, the profit and losses, and seeing what we were spending, that right there was like, oh, okay, yeah, we tricking off money right now. You know what I'm saying? So that really helped. And then mindset. I also hired a life coach, because I had to realize that, for me during this time, I wanted to make sure my mind was right. I've never been at this level in my life. Wait a minute. So you making a transition from entrepreneurship, and you say you hired a life coach. A life coach, yeah.
And you hired a consultant.
Yes.
Just out the blue. Yes. What triggered that decision?
I was about to exit.
Yeah, so we knew what we were getting into, and luckily our business consultant I ran a nonprofit with some brothers outside of Chicago, and luckily his niece was a business consultant, and I heard her talking about tax breaks, and I heard her talking about how important LLCs and what you can, and I'm just like, yo, like, I need to learn more of that, right? And at first we got to talking and things, and I asked her, like, listen, I'll be willing to pay you for your services because like my business needs this. I don't know none of this stuff. Yeah. And so she would begin to pour to me, because once she found out we were investing in mobile homes, that was like, yo, like I like the value that you have. And so, that relationship really helped me, right? We stayed on the phone all the time. I learned so much, and she would always just pour because she wanted to see us win. And so the life coach part, I knew I was already prepping myself for the amount of money that I knew I set my goals to make. But I knew I never had touched that type of money. I knew that this was going to be a new lifestyle. So I wanted to make sure my mental was right, and I wanted to make sure my habits were aligned with what I had upcoming. And that really helped me hold me accountable, because, y'all know the entrepreneur phase. A lot of times we feel like we could be making $1 million, but we still feel like we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
We still feel
you never feel it. I've made ridiculous amounts of money and I still don't feel comfortable, bro. That's weird. That is weird, bro. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's
bro.
weird though. You sit there and think about it, you be like, how do I like if you take yourself now, Byron O'Neal, if you take where you are now and you rewind 5 years ago, you would have been like, you would have loved to be where you are today.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's weird. That is weird, bro.
But now where we at?
That is real weird. You just made me get deep right now. I'm just gonna be real with you. Wait a minute. So, but you know what? Let's get back on topic because this is good stuff. All right. So you hired a life coach, bro. How did you go about choosing a life coach? Like what? Like you got to dig deep on that. Like, did somebody refer that to you? What? Like, how did you just say, I'm gonna go buy me a life coach?
Yeah, man.
You heard that from a YouTube video?
So what's funny, I heard it from a podcast where originally I went through a life coaching program. I didn't make it through because my money ran out, but but I went through, that was before my journey in real estate. I wanted to be a life coach. Like that was my thing, right? I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. But God had a higher calling for me. And so when I really started diving into the real estate sector, when we got into mobile homes, I knew like, you know what? I had resources that was in, that were life coaches and a guy that had actually graduated in the class before me. And I really resonated with him. He was younger than me. And he really spoke. He spoke very intentional. Things were just, he would break things down that was just like, okay. And so when I hired him, even at that time, right, he was $600 a month. And I was just like, whew, all right, I got,
$600 a month.
$600 a month. But I'm going to tell y'all this. From the time I hired him in a 3-month span, by the third month, we hit our first 6-figure month. Before that, we probably
oh my God.
Our highest month we had gross was right about 30,000, right? And that was with everything. But we hit $100,000 a month, and that's when I knew. And Sharnice saw the way because it all was in line, right? My relationship, my, who I was being around, who I was choosing to be. Like this title was to real estate. Like I was still going around my, I love my friends, but I was still going around situations that I shouldn't been in, right? Wow. Anything could have popped off because I was still going back to the hood, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like, I had to really realize he had to really help me up my level and help me realize that my power, who I truly am. And that was the thing that I really got from my coaching.
Wow. So, okay. That's deep. Wow, that is deep. That's powerful. I think you didn't share. I think you didn't help somebody just now. You helped me. You honestly helped me because I'm like, I may need to go hire a life coach. What do you think? Okay, break this down. What were the lessons and some of the key things that you gained or the strategies that you learned from this life coach that you feel like were pivotal in making you 10x, almost 10x your finances and 10x your relationship? What happened in that exchange and in that period?
He helped me get distinct between the stories I was telling myself and holding, when I mean my stories, everything, the burdens that I was carrying. He helped me get clear with that. Right. I had issues, when I say, even within my relationship, I had questions in my relationship. I had questions about myself. I wasn't doing enough. People weren't supporting me. I had all these different stories. And what he helped me do is really get clear from that and focus on practicing of being present and realizing when those stories came up, that had to realize that, that's just a story. That's not who I am. I have the ability now to change. And what that allowed me to do, that helped me in my relationship to pour more into my woman, because the more I poured into my woman, the more she poured into me. And guess what that did for our business, right? Because we was in business together. So the more I showed up for the relationship and showed up for her, right? She showed up for me and she showed up for the relationship, right?
It's like myself, a beautiful puzzle.
Yeah,
bro, for real. My confidence, right? My confidence. Each week we did challenging things for me to step outside. Every week I had to do something uncomfortable, and it was uncomfortable making certain calls and pushing myself. Like that was uncomfortable, but all I was doing was giving me repetitions to put me in a position to be great. And so man, just a lot of times I would show up to those calls still not feeling like I did enough, but he would be able to break down like, Byron, so this month you made $50,000, right? You say you only put half, you only feel like you made half the effort. You haven't had one argument in the last 3 weeks. Like, he would help me break, and it'll be like, oh, dang, I am doing good. Right. And those little things of what we hold to ourselves, and what the stories that we tell ourselves, and the burdens that we create, and the stories become our burden, right? Because we start, that's what makes us down, right? When you think about the word depressed, we become depressed because we carry all of this mental baggage, which takes a load on our body. Wow. If we're able to get clear with that, we are free. Wow. And so that's what really, really helped me. And that's what helped me turn. And then that's, again, last year was our $1 million year.
Wow. So, okay, man, this is deep. This is deep. So basically, were you dealing with some accountability? Because I heard you mention a few things, like you mentioned, people not supporting you, your girl feeling like your girl wasn't doing enough to support you, feeling like, resentment, right? Tell me what was going on with all that mess what was all that mess happening, and how did he get you to make those transition points?
Yeah, so a lot, like you talked, I think you was talking about the word accountable, right? Yeah. I wasn't holding myself accountable, and I wasn't taking any accountability for my actions. Everything is a cause and an effect. So the things that I was feeling, again, I was think about, just like, if I got into my lady, right, that I would almost think about stuff from the last argument, and I'm piling into that bag, right? I'm thinking about things that I missed deadlines and assignments, so I'm piling into that bag. And so all this head of what I'm not doing, and this and this, I didn't get a chance to even look at myself and say, Byron, okay, he helped me take a step back and say, Byron, okay, let's look at this. Okay. So what happened, right? And we'll write it, all the things down. And then some of the things on how I was feeling, this was a key thing, everybody listening. We would determine, is it a fact or is it an interpretation? So when I'm feeling lazy, is it a fact that I'm lazy, or is that an interpretation? Guess what? That was an interpretation. I was lazy. Was it a fact, or was it an interpretation that I looked at my girl a certain way? It was just an interpretation. And once I started distinguishing, wow, these just interpretations. The fact is, what happened. That's it, right? I'll give you a perfect example. We talked what happened this morning on Clubhouse. The fact is what was said. The interpretation was what everything, the stories that was around it and created, right? And so that's what made this big conglomerate of a world, when at the end of the day, it really wasn't. Wow. It was this little small miniature thing. Wow. So it's basically,
he made you slow down your life and made you start thinking deeper what's really going on. I like that.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's real powerful.
Being able to minimize what a problem is, because a problem is only a problem that we make it a problem. But if you have a solution to the problem and you carry out your solution, it won't never be a problem.
Wow.
Damn, he really changed your whole thought process.
Yeah.
Shit, I need a life coach.
Yo, because that mindset piece is so powerful. And a lot of times we don't know.
It's overlooked.
We don't know what we don't know. You know what I mean? And it's funny because it's almost like the more successful I become, the more humble I become at the same time, in the sense of I find out all of the things that I thought I knew that I didn't know. I find out all the time that it's new levels, right? As successful as I've become, I also realize the fact that, man, as business owners, it's still a jungle. Anything can still go wrong. I still got to continuously learn. I still got to continuously adapt, right? I can't just, go to fall asleep at the wheel. Even if I got employees, even if I got a team, even if I got dope systems ain't nothing if you don't continue to water the grass. You get what I'm saying? And keep that grass watered. So, oh man, that was dope, man. Oh, I love that, man. So, O'Neal, tell me this, man.
Yo,
you made a transition, right? You made a transition, but I would say your transition was more so from corporate America, right? Corporate America to full-time entrepreneurship, right? Now,
Yeah.
tell me this, O'Neal. What would you say was some of the books you was reading? What was some of the friendships you were making? Some of the mindset shifts that you had going on in this time period.
So within my transition, I was getting closer to y'all because y'all damn near full. Well, Byron, you damn near full time. You work 2-3 nights a month.
Yeah.
Byron full time. Brian full time. Brandon full time. So all my friends full time, they feed into me like, why you still at your job? You doing this, you do it. Especially Byron. Byron selling deeper.
Yeah.
What the fuck you still doing that? You know? So, you know what I'm saying? That's inspirational. So I was like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? You know?
Yeah.
So that really kicked me to the curve. And really, if you're going to transition, you got to have everything. Well, me, myself, I like to have everything set up so it was a smooth transition. I just didn't want to quit and be like, fuck, now what I'm going to do? You know?
Yeah. Well, you got them kids. You got them little ones.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wifey probably would have came in with them elbows. She would have came in with them elbows.
Man, she wanted me to quit since I started.
Oh, wow.
What you still there for?
Yeah, so yeah, because your girl is entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah. Well, she trying to get there.
Okay.
She's not 100% entrepreneur, but she about 85.
80. You know? That's a lot. That's a lot now.
Still changing that mindset. Yeah, she watching me. She starting to understand. You know, she know the kids watching, so she got to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she been ready for me to quit. She wanted me to quit so she could see me more.
Oh, gotcha.
But it don't work like that.
It's like the opposite.
If you're working for yourself, you got to work harder. You know,
Absolutely.
a lot of people understand that. A lot of people think entrepreneurs just hang out all day, but you might hang out at the house, but you got to put that work in because if you, like Byron said, if you're not watering that grass, the grass ain't gonna grow. Yeah, you ain't getting paid if you ain't working. Even if you have employee systems, if you're not feeding into your employees, working your systems, trying to implement new systems, it ain't gonna work. You got to work a lot harder as being an entrepreneur. You got to put things in place and prepare for the future. So if you know you want to live a certain lifestyle, you got to put money into those assets. You got to put things into perspective that if I want this, I have to put other things in place to produce the things that I want. So,
what was some of the books you was reading, and what were some of those key moments that said, O'Neal, I have to take this serious. I have to go to the next level. What was happening? What was going on here? You feel me?
Yeah. So books, man, I don't know. I was just reading a lot. So I just read books that I don't know, that'll benefit me. So let's see. 10X Rules 1. I don't know, man. I just be reading random books. I just be reading credit books. I just read books I know gonna make me better as a person. So I can't really tell you it's a lot of books. But really, it's podcasts. If I know somebody's doing what I'm doing, I want to do, I watch their podcast because I know what I'm capable of. If that dude could do it or that girl could do it, why the fuck I can't do it? So that's the type of shit I watch.
Absolutely.
So if I know, like, let's just say they bought 50 houses in 2 years, well, shit, I'm trying to buy 60 in 2 years. What he did, of course, on podcasts, they say exactly what they did. Yeah. And I do the same thing, but add more on top. And that's what I do. I always do that. That's how I really got into real estate and how I scaled so quickly because I listen to other people, what they do, and I do the same exact thing. So it's not really hard to do anything. You just have to figure out which way it worked for you. You follow that person that did it, like the way that you like to do it, and you do it.
So that was your cheat code.
That's really made the transition. Yeah, it's still the cheat code. It's cheat code for everybody. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just put more systems in place to make it smoother.
Yeah. That's some good stuff.
Hey B.
Huh?
Hey B. So I know the type, like, man, and O'Neal, bro. Like, what I love about, like, real quick. I hope y'all got that. He said the cheat code, right? The cheat code, right? So I hope y'all got everything O'Neal was definitely talking about. Byron, I think that, I know we got some little time left, but the streets to real estate, bro. I think this is a real important time to really share, for the new listeners and things, your story in your transition, bro, because honestly, this topic to me really, really goes with your story. And I
Resonates.
think that to
Resonates you for
see,
sure.
to hear where you possibly could be to where you are now, bro, you gotta share that and then talk about, what was your shift and things that really helped you on your journey.
Go
Man.
from the 20s to now.
Yeah. So I would say this, man. You know what I mean? Um, you know, I've had a lot of ups and downs, right? The good thing is that I feel like I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Always since a kid. Always had the entrepreneurial spirit, which means honestly, man, at 14 I was getting money, right? I was getting money early, bro. I had like a little mini club at like 15, 16, 17, bro. We was throwing big events, throwing big parties.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was always getting to the bag. The issues I had, bro, growing up was that I was always a loner in a sense. I always had friends. Just like kind of how I am now. You feel me? But I was a bit of a loner in a sense of I wanted to build everything myself, right? I wanted to do everything myself. I didn't reach out to people as much. You know what I mean? I probably in my early years, bro, I probably wouldn't have reached out to nobody for a loan. I would have been trying to figure out a way to come up with that money for myself, right? Or if I reached out for a loan, I would reach out for a small loan, something that was manageable that I could in my mind see myself paying back. So that was a limitation. Another limitation was every time I made more money, I spent more money. Let me say that again. Every time I made more money, I spent more money. And I got that mentality, man, from I thought it was the right thing to do. Like, bro, at my church, everybody that I was around, my church, my family, everybody had the mentality of, I got good credit. If you got money, then you should have nice things. If you got this, then you should look this way and you should be blessed. We looked at that as being blessed. Like that's what being blessed was, to spend what you have and enjoy what you have for the moment. And that mentality never allowed me to get ahead, and I never understood it, bro. It's like, it was weird. And it was like, I started listening to books like Dave Ramsey, and that was like one of the major shifts, because I'm like, wait a minute, bro, I had this wrong the whole time, right? I had it wrong the whole time. I'm literally thinking that I'm supposed to be spending and enjoying. It was always an instant gratification ploy. And no matter how much money I made a lot of money when I was younger, right? I made money. You feel me? The only thing that really changed in my life was the fact that I learned later, after I started selling drugs and doing all of this kind of crazy stuff, man, that it ain't about the money that you make. It's not about the money that you make. It's really about the money that you keep and invest. Okay? It's about the money that you keep and invest. And when I started reading books like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that shit changed my life. It blew my mind, because I realized how dumb I was, right? I realized how wrong I had it. You feel me? Like, I didn't know I had it that wrong. I didn't know I had it that wrong until I read books from Dave Ramsey, right? I found out, man, I had this all wrong. But then that was a problem too, because too much Dave Ramsey and you'll just like save yourself into a hole, right? And you wouldn't invest. So I'm hustling, right? I'm in the streets, you feel me? I'm making money. And I get busted. I get busted. And it wasn't me that got busted. It was actually like one of my homeboys that I was kicking it with, you know what I'm saying, at the time. He got busted, but it was with, it was my stuff. You feel what I'm saying? He got busted though. It wasn't really on me. You feel me? But it was on me because I was associated with the situation. He goes down. We get to the courthouse, right? We get to the courthouse and he tells the judge, he's like, yo, this dude ain't had nothing to do with this. You know what I mean? This is on me. He accepts it. But of course, that wasn't good enough. So I spent like, I don't know, maybe about 3 years, bro, fighting the case. You know what I mean? Because they were trying to make me take probation. That's another thing. Anybody who is in a situation where you're fighting a case that is beatable, don't take no probation. That shit will ruin your fucking life. It will ruin your life. Don't take probation. Fight your case. Give yourself that fighting chance, especially if you have a fighting chance. And in that situation, I felt like I had a fighting chance because it wasn't me that they were after. It was really him. But long story short, we both ended up beating the case. I spent a lot of money to get it done, but I got it done. And after that, man, it was almost like that situation was so traumatic for me that I went into like hyper save, hyper prepare, hyper just I was just on 10 on everything. Saving, reading books, preparing myself. And then I started going to nursing school. You know what I mean? And I wanted to over prepare myself for life. And then after that, man, it really changed my life. And I had saved up like a ridiculous amount of money. I got an app called Mint.com. And I would literally look at the amount of money that I was saving opposed to the money that I was spending. And I think at my peak, I was living on about 30% of my income and saving literally about 70% of my income.
Wow.
70%, bro. And
that's unnatural.
That's unnatural.
Right.
You feel me? That's unnatural. But at the same time, I was good. I was happy. I was comfortable. Now, I don't think I was right in that, you know what I'm saying? But I was comfortable. I had gotten myself conditioned to be comfortable with not just having everything. We're looking at that spoiled brat in the mirror and saying, no, motherfucker, go sit down somewhere. You don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't need that. And I'm still kind of like that. You know, I'm still kind of like that. I don't think it's the coolest thing. You feel me? I don't think it's the appropriate thing for everybody. But I still kind of harbor those mentalities. And that's what put me on, man. It really, you know, because at that point I was able to invest in anything I wanted to and take those bets on myself that I never thought that I could. And I was also able to connect with new people that showed me how to even further leverage other things in my life. And I'm grateful for the path that I'm on now. Like I said, I've always had ups and downs throughout my life, man, where I made money, lost money. But honestly, I feel like at the point where I'm at now, I'm finally in a place of real wealth creation and growth. So I'm in a place of real wealth creation in the sense of I'm not trading as much of my time for money as I was before. So that was the key for me.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's a real streets to real estate.
Yeah,
the real streets to real estate. The decisions you made, you know, to where you are now is a true testament, right? Because some people, I mean, you gotta think about it. Like, unfortunately, it's people that's all they know. So they went to beat that case and then just lay low for a while and then got
right back to the streets. Yeah, man.
You know, so man, that was huge, bro. That was huge.
Yeah. So what made you reach? Like, what made you go to Dave Ramsey and not, you know, somebody else? What made you open the book?
Dave Ramsey, bro. I felt like I you know.
How'd you even find Dave Ramsey?
Yeah. It was crazy, man. Honestly, bro, I think just looking at YouTube. I was looking at YouTube videos. I was looking at other people around. You know, I ain't had that many friends that was in that entrepreneurial space like that. So I really just kind of like, I think when I went to nursing school, bro, I moved to Beaumont and I was so isolated that it kind of took me away from my natural elements. And so as a result of that, only person I really could talk to was me. And so me and YouTube, right? So me and YouTube became best friends. You feel me? And
that was for me too.
Yeah. And that isolation, right, was allowed me to experience and learn new things, bro, that I had never learned before. So I would say YouTube and then Dave Ramsey, what I related to him because he had lost everything too. He had lost everything. And so when he rebuilt himself, it just resonated with me. And the things he was talking about just made sense.
Gotcha.
Man. That's I mean, listen to everybody on here, man. My man said he lived off 30% of his income and save 70%. Are you willing to be that disciplined? See, everybody on here, from O'Neal to Byron to myself, one thing we have in common theme is discipline, right? We made sacrifices and we were disciplined enough because we know where we wanted to be, which we are now. And here's the funny thing. We're not satisfied.
That's
right?
The crazy thing. That's weird.
We're not satisfied at
all.
That
shit weird.
Not at all. Never gonna be satisfied.
Yeah, bro.
Grateful,
that's weird.
But ain't satisfied.
Grateful ain't satisfied. Wow. Why am I not satisfied, bro?
Proud but never satisfied.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like the reason why you're not, because okay, so cool. I'm gonna say this. I know we're right at 9 o'clock, but just that human, as men, we are purpose driven, right? We are purpose driven. So a lot of times, the things that we quest for, we get rewarded monetary, right? Because you're thinking, we're all in real estate, so we're all making change respectively, right? But we were able to make this a game because we're competitors at the same time.
Absolutely.
So when we hear, let's say we hear another brother, what he did, you're like, oh, dang, okay, you did them many deals? Oh, yeah, I'm about to step my game up because you know what you're capable of.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, game is still helping hundreds of thousands of people, you know what I'm saying? And then even look at what we do now, this content that we're doing. Like, what I love about it, I'm having a conversation with my boys.
Absolutely.
But the dope thing about this conversation is valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's powerful. Wow.
Right.
Yo, man, this right here, bro, this right here was different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was, man.
this right here is different, bro.
The conversation needed to be had, just like this morning.
Yeah, for real. And that's the thing. That's what what I love about this podcast, we were able to get value from each other, from this, right?
Yes.
So who want to take us home today?
Man, you know you always got to take us home unless you want to. You already know you be dropping them in stories that be dope, bro. Come on now, stop playing.
What you got for us, B?
Yeah, man.
Listen, from the streets to... Oh, go ahead, O'Neal. Did you have anything to say?
I was about to say, oh, you don't have it tonight. You want me to get it?
Oh, man, it's up to you, man. You know I can take us home, but it's up to you. If you want to try something different.
You got it, B. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Listen, everybody. The topic was from the streets to real estate, but at the same time, you may not be coming from the streets. Whatever you are in life and you want to get into real estate, right? If it's from the office to real estate, right? From unemployed to real estate, whatever that is, we want you to get off the sideline. You heard our sacrifices. You heard the way we became disciplined. You heard the investments we made in our life. What are you willing to do in your life to make the change? And if you have already began making those changes, you keep on. Listen, you will not see the end of the tunnel. You just have to continue going. Have faith. Know that it's going to happen, right? Know that you have the people, resources like us. Utilize the people in your circle. Step outside your comfort zone. And listen, we are here to be great in the year of 2021. Let's turn up. First of all, happy Black History Month to you guys, man.
Absolutely.
Listen, man, y'all already know what time it is.
100, man.
Continue going. Have faith. Know that it's going to happen, right? Know that you have the people, resources like us. Utilize the people in your circle. Step outside your comfort zone. And listen, we are here to be great in the year of 2021. Let's turn up. First of all, happy Black History Month to you guys, man. Listen, man, y'all already know what time it is. Continue going. Have faith. Know that it's going to happen, right? Know that you have resources like us. Utilize the people in your circle. Step outside your comfort zone. We are here to be great in the year of 2021. Let's turn up. First of all, happy Black History Month to you guys, man. Listen, man, y'all already know what time it is. Continue going. Have faith. Know that it's going to